那我们今天的话呢，其实是冠德跟民传一起合作，我们在进行国际讲座。那主办单位的话呢是民传大学建筑系、冠德玉山教育慈善基金会，然后还有协办单位是民传大学艺术中心、全球建筑学人交流协会以及美国建筑师协会台北分会。那我们今天的分会的会长也在现场哦，那请站起来，这是我们 Jenny， 我们的会长，对，好，那。我们的赞助单位的话呢，也要谢谢冠德企业集团。好，那我们在这边的话呢，先跟大家做一个这样的说明。我们今天也有几位就是 AIA 的都有在现场哦，然后像双雅典 Alex，然后还有Shirley David，然后我们这边还有QLab 的这个建筑师的 Borden 也在现场，一些我们的赖仁硕建筑师也在现场哈，好，跟大家打个招呼。所以可以看得出来，今天是一半一半，专业的这个建筑人跟我们在座的一些这个观众。Okay, so let's welcome Yan Ling, one of the moderator, to the stage.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us here in person or online. We actually have AIA International Broadcasting online. My name is Yanlin Chen from Yan Partnership Architects. Jeannie and I are the co-chair of Industry and Academia Committee. It's a great pleasure today. We have three amazing speakers.
Yes.
All well-known architects. So I think we should briefly.
I think we should introduce them to our audience first, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, Andy Wen from ADAS. Please stand up. A global design principal in ADAS. Please welcome.
And then our Takaharu and Yuri Tezuka, the founder of Tezuka Architects. I think many of us are quite familiar with their work already.
Of course. We should save the time for them, right?
Yeah.
All right.
So shall we invite Taka and Yuri to the stage, please?
Yes. So let's enjoy.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting this lecture. Yeah, I'm Yuri Tezuka, and my partner Takaharu Tezuka. And as you can see, we are always red and blue. So, yeah. So my iPhone is red, and my socks are red, and his socks are blue as well. And and when we decide we are red and blue, we decide everything we share is in yellow. So my daughter is in yellow, and eventually we got a son. And he's supposed to be yellow as well, but my daughter said he should be in green, so he became green. So our family is primary colors, very easy to recognize us. Yeah, this is the old building of Fuji Kindergarten. So when we went to see the site, the building was nasty like this, but the atmosphere was so good. The good thing about this old kindergarten is that the corridor was external. So principal was walking along this corridor back and forth, and when he get into the classroom, we could hear the voice of the children. So we want to keep that kind of feeling. And before we designed the Fuji Kindergarten, we designed this house called Roof House. This house, the client can have roof on the top of the roof. So there are tables and benches, and they climb up the roof through the skylight. They lean ladder on the skylight, and they can come up on the roof. And the principal of the Fuji Kindergarten liked this house very much. And he said that, could you design the roof house for 600 children? So that's what he asked. And we have kids. Our kids always love to make circles. So it's a kind of genetic memory written in several contexts. So we came up to this idea. This is a Fuji Kindergarten. So we make a donut-shaped kindergarten, and so it's round. So the principal doesn't need to stop. So he can keep walking around all day long. And also kids can keep running around on the roof. And this is how it is built. But it's difficult to keep the big trees in the middle of the building. So we did how we keep the trees. So we did a kind of archaeological investigation to make sure we don't cut any root, because if we cut the root, the tree would die. So yeah, this is how we design the base. We designed, we don't cut any root. And this is how it is built. And because the principal liked the row house, he said that I don't want any handrail at the edge of the roof. And he said that, why don't you stick out the net to catch the children who had fallen off? He was quite serious. So we made a drawing, and we brought the drawing to the Planning Application Authority, but they said, are you sure? It's kind of difficult. So we gave up, and so we designed, we had to design the handrail, but we used his idea around the tree. So we put net around the tree, so children can fall off to the net. And that rope is a handrail for the planning application. And the rope is nothing to do with kids, so kids keep falling off. Yeah, keep falling off more and more. Yeah, there are sometimes 40 children around the tree. Children like tree very much, so he is eating tree. And this is how it's built. We have to put handrail, but we designed a special handrail, so children cannot put their head out, but they can put their legs out, so they can sit around the edge of the roof. So they are looking down what's going on in the garden. And the monkeys behind the bird, it's feeding time. And in this kindergarten, the ceiling height is very low, only 2.1 meter. So we can see what's going on the roof and what's going on under the roof at the same time. And when this kindergarten was completed, we were surrounded by the 500 children. It was so touching. I love that kind of moment. Children start using the kindergarten, and suddenly we hear the sounds of they are landing on the roof. So I like that. It was quite touching moment. And after that, we got a call from the government. The wonderful thing happened. Your kindergarten was selected as the best kindergarten in the world. Best school in the world in these 50 years. And this is the gargoyle to collect leaves. And the teacher is teaching when it rains that water comes together, it makes streams, and it makes rivers, something like that. And this is the leg washing place. Actually, he is not washing his legs, he is putting water in his boot. Yeah, even the shape is oval, the sliding doors can be opened, or all the sliding doors can be opened. It runs along the curved rail like train. And this is the classroom. You can see there is no wall between classroom. So children who doesn't like his classroom can go to next classroom. So we asked the principal, is it okay? And he said, it's okay, you don't need to worry about it because he will come back eventually because it's round. And another thing is children can hear the voice of the next classroom. So in this kindergarten, children has very good concentration because they hear the voice of the next classroom, so they have to concentrate on the teacher. So the noise is important for the children to grow. And when this kindergarten was built, one German professor came to see this kindergarten and she said, what children would do? They will get wet when it rains. And the principal said, in Japan, when children get wet, they change. And you don't need to worry about it because children are waterproof. Yeah, it happens in rainy day in Fuji Kindergarten.
Just Ito, this is not Japan. It's in Indonesia. you can hear the ritual and also background noise, beep. When you're in jungle, you can't hear the beep. But when we back in Tokyo, I can hear the beep because when you are disconnected from this jungle, your noise canceling system stops. Okay, but you can say same thing about their body. You can't hear your breathing and the heartbeat because you got nice noise cancelling system. But once you dive under the water, okay, you can hear your body noise. That kind of thing we investigate a lot. And so I'm saying, it's very important to keep the kids to be a part of the environment. I have so many papers, but today I don't have time to explain that. And you can later. I'm gonna give you this book if you make a good question, okay? But then now I don't have time, so just I have to pass this back to
Yeah.
my boss.
We designed this furniture to how can I say, divide the classroom. So this wooden box is 30 centimeter by 30 centimeter. So we did workshop with children. And they supposed to help teacher, but they didn't at all. Yeah. Yeah, they look happy. And then teacher made this configuration. They can change this configuration every month. And it works in the exhibition. And this is the well. Because we don't have any wall, so we designed this kind of well for the children to wash their hands. But there are only 2 water taps, so they have to communicate each other. So these days, children love to play on the computer game, so they don't talk each other so much, so we force them to talk. And this works as a flower pot. And big tree in the middle of the classroom, so children can fish their friends, monkeys on the net, and they're looking down. At the time of Christmas, Santa Claus coming down through the skylight with present. But one day we got problem because the principal called very authentic, good-looking Santa Claus. He had stuck in this frame. Yeah, monkeys on the skylight. And this is a switch hanging down from the ceiling because we don't have any wall. So if you pull the one string, you can lit the 3 light bulbs. And this is how it is built. And this shows the movement of a boy from 9:10 to 9:30. The circumference is 200 meters, so he made 600 meters in 20 minutes. It's quite a lot for the kindergarten. It's about 8 times compared to the normal kindergarten. And this is happening every day. You can see children running around. And actually, there are many copies of Fuji Kindergarten in the world. And in China, Taka went to see China, and he found a copy of Fuji Kindergarten. But in China, the children goes around the same way, same round. And when the music starts, they start running. And when music stops, they have to stop. So it's quite different from Japanese one.
Yeah, just the Chinese teacher really worried they might bump each other, but the principal said nobody has died yet. Last 10 years.
And
yeah. So I think we need to speed up because today is not about the lecture. It's about symposium. I run Berkeley. I'm gonna show the image, and we do many kinds of kindergartens. It's looking like umbrella, indoor circulation, and you can see each other with this kind of diagram. This got the world many prizes, and yeah, and the ponding. And also it's a museum, no? I think many of you have seen this project too, in a pile of wood. And we put kids inside. And it's that we enjoy playing with kids. And we have a high-rise project that has commercial buildings too. But today, I'm not going to show you anything commercial. We do show only fun projects too. Once you put your kids, they never get out. So it's this picture. Okay. And always father is tired, no? And my wife and my son, he's cute, but not like this. I think he's tall as Andy now. Close getting to 1.8. So always kids like that. And also we designed this kind of church lights. People think it's computer graphics. It's not. That I drew this screen by hand, one by one. It's 52-meter wide drawing. You can get you are drawn into the lights. You feel like a part of the forest church. And so this long time ago project designed to be buried in the snow. You see sections snow. I think we had a big exhibit in the Venice Biennale with this. It's kind of scary about snow. And also we are running a museum in Tokyo, and it's a project that's called Kids in a Dish. And we were originally told, they want us to design the kids museum. I said, hate kids museum. We like zoo, okay? Because we don't like education, okay? So then we made this kind of huge dish, and we put kids instead of the rhinos and the giraffe, and let them play. We drink outside, and then this is how the museum looking like. We create many things, and also sometimes we let kids to do whatever they want. I'm going to show you the spontaneous movement. If you make this kind of space, kids runs, okay? We are not telling them they should run, and then the best part is not to come. And this is his mother, okay? Okay? And some people say Japanese people behave well. Not quite, jumps, okay? And this is my wife sleeping in front. And we invite the Tokyo Philharmonic Orchestra sometime. And people think, always, kids hate classical music, but it's not true. They love classical music, but they don't like seat number. And sometimes we get more than 300 people in the dish. And the point is, we let them see. Look at that; he's so happy. We let children to choose the posture. My wife is sleeping, or like this. So, and then I'm going to show you what happens in the dish. Sorry, no? How come it's not moving? It's stupid things. Okay, it's a disaster. What's happening? They love it, okay? Now this is the most important project I'm to talk about, okay? The project is somewhere between China and Bhutan and India, So, it's very, some kind of conflict zone. But it doesn't matter for us, Even the project in China, in India, and Bhutan, whoever happens, I go to help. So I'm trying to avoid any discussion. The project is deep in the Himalayan mountain, okay? So, it's they get very little help because in the conflict zone. And it's about 500 kilometers from the closest city. You have to go very, very far, deep in the mountain. It takes 2 days to get there. And this is 4,300 meters from sea level. So very less oxygen. And the volunteer project we're working on. It's very deep. And this monk started our orphanage deep in the Himalayan mountain. And he was born in toilet, and he was abandoned in the bush, and then he found, and then he sent to monastery, raised, and then he happened to be a very, very clever kid. And he was sent to Boston. And eventually started making lecture in Harvard. Very, very clever, often. And then he started to represent Dalai Lama. Okay, it's a very, some kind of, delicate issue. And then I said, I want to help my community. So he went back to the place, and he started the orphanage 18 years ago. 18 years ago. And then, recently, 3 years ago, they called us. They want help. They need a new school building. The original school building is tilting down because of earthquake. Okay. So he's at orphanage, in the movie. And it's always the orphan got the problem, and it's the monk correct the kids like this one by one, and 50% of kids dies before 5. And they're always they're in troubles, and it takes 1 year to make them the right way. But now eventually they become happy, and they study very hard. But holding young child one hand, studying physics, and with this way, this school became the best school in that region. 9 out of 10 best students are from this orphan. So it's an amazing place, so remote. And instead, this old lady is saying, and because you didn't pick up my boy, he died. I had 8 grandchildren, and that's the last one. So it's awful. So they do funeral, after this, I think, that they do funeral. Okay, now I jumped this, and then I went to the community, and the first time they sing the birthday cake. It's nice, right? And my wife's cutting birthday cake, okay? And then they delivering birthday cake. Nice way to eat. I like that, huh? It's nice, huh? And I got the Portuguese to work on it. He's so happy. Running. Yeah, I'm not the fastest anymore. Very thin air. Okay, now it's at this point. And I think you know this picture in the last lecture by Dalai Lama. And we tried to figure out how they became the best school in the region. India, so our education is very, very competitive. Only 20% can go to university, but in this orphanage, 95% go to university. Not only that, they are the best school in the state. And the idea is from this. In the Buddhism thinking, it's called Shunyata in Sanskrit. It's about sharing idea, and the inside is zero. Actually, I found out that education is method is quite close to Fuji Kindergarten, but we had a lot of share. We had a lot of long discussion, and this is an interesting diagram. And they give a seed at the beginning. They can say, oh, how come the sky is green? Okay, and people start thinking about, children start thinking about. It's not true, it doesn't matter. It's seed. And second stage is digestion. They have to study by themselves. And then open a book, a notebook, everything. And the third stage is sharing. That's the most important part. So they turn knowledge into wisdom. So they share with people. It's 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. Interesting number. And the Buddhism way, okay, deep discussion. With this way, they became the best school. This is the way they put seed on, and digestion, and the sharing, and the sharing, and the sharing. And then we tested the diagram in my university with my students. And I have been doing professor already 28 years, okay? And we got many international students. And we measure the distance, optimal distance. We test and test and test. After that, we came up with interesting school plan. And usually, you make a box first, okay? And you put the education as function, or you think about shell, okay, how it's looking like. But this way, and you start from education, okay? And this is how they share the idea. So we try to figure out the shape of the class, but the building doesn't exist. This is shape of the class. So this is the plan we came up with. No, it's entirely different. And one big circle to share the idea with others, with the world. And this is a space to share with friends and the more small groups. So, this layer of sharing. So you can see then how the classroom is looking like. And this is how the building is going to look like. And we raised about the $3 million now and $3 million to go because they said the budget is zero. So this is a completely donation project. We need to raise $3 million. So maybe you can donate $3 million. It's done. Only $3 million. Okay. Okay. And also one of the projects problem of this region is that they make a concrete building, but not steel bar. And but they used to have this kind of traditional building. The problem this thing is that it doesn't stand against next earthquake, and also all money go to the city 500 kilometers away. So the region became very poor, and they used to build a house by themselves, and also they used to share the kids and the house, so they are no orphan. And all the war and all these things, the economic change made this kind of tragedy. So I said we're going to restore this society, and reforestation, everything, reorganizing everything. So this time we are going for low tech. Like this, we are bringing some craftsmen from Bhutan, and also Japan, and possibly in China. I want this place to be connection, node point, and hub for all cultures, like this, presenting ideas. And we have some interesting projects in Dubai, because I want to show you. And this is the existing building. It's very, very, and we are trying to create the oasis. They have a water problem, okay? But they have rain. The problem is that the water does not stay on the surface level. So we are converting, retrofitting this building to make an upside down oasis. And on the middle, they're going to put my museum. And so it's a modern oasis, but this is acting as a school. And the plan is very interesting. You have never seen school like this, okay? And also this is retrofit, no? And this is related to the idea of the water table. And also, I see, this never seen school like this. And it's going to be built in 1 year. We started already. And this sketch I want to show you today. This is another project in Ahmedabad, in India. In India, they used to have a lot of trees, especially around Ahmedabad. They have a lot of rain, but the water all disappears 100 meters from surface. So that's the reason why they lost all the trees, because they chopped trees and the water went down. They said, okay, we can bring the water table up, and this is a school project again, but it's quite a big project. It's about 77,000 square meters and a big forest, and we are trying to make a forest with some architecture, but I want the architecture to be mixed with tree. And this is education they wanted, so some sharing the spaces. And so this is not diagram from us, it's from educator. And we are trying to do, so I'm gonna finish now, okay? Okay, and it's a sharing space, and the trees, all these are coming together, you can see, all these. Usually education and the landscape and all the environment, all these are separate issues. We are trying to merge everything, okay? And then, this green part is the landscape design. Actually, he is a specialist to bring the water up to surface, and said, okay, let's landscape designer to work on the environment first, and then we can put our buildings merge into the environment. Okay, you can see that these are existing trees, and then we put the school building, and then we cut the building where we want trees to survive. These greens are existing building, and then we put the education. All these are mixtures. It's completely new way to make architecture. Okay, I think it's enough for today, And I could show more buildings, but I think it's nicer to have discussion. Thank you.
Amazing talk. Thank you very much. And I think, everything's ready, right?
It's
Good.
already, I think maybe
All right.
I stay here.
So let's just
let's
shift to the next
everyone.
one. Thank you, Andy. Andy, you want your own color? Black, right?
Yeah. Wonderful projects, Takaharu, Yui. Takaharu and I are classmates from University of Pennsylvania, and it was almost, I think it was 25 years ago today, yes? Yeah. Yeah, 25 years. No, 30. 35. Ah, no wonder you look so old now.
No wonder you have a good grandchild.
Yeah, so today I think this talk is wonderful. It's the first time I've done a talk with my classmate, and a very special classmate. Taka and I, in school, we had lots of fun together. He could not speak English back then. And today was very good, so very happy. And today I think I want to share some of my projects and what I've been doing this past 35 years. Done a lot. Our company is called IDIS. We're a global company. We have offices all throughout the world, from the U.S. to UK, to Europe, Middle East, and Asia, all over. And we do have a small office in Taipei. So you see the blue. The blue we call the remote offices. So very small offices. So and the red ones are the bigger offices. So I'm Taiwanese, but I live in Beijing. I've been living in Beijing for more than 30 years. Okay? There were some events that led me to Beijing, and maybe in the end we can talk about that. So, but today I'm not going to talk about IDIS, but we do have over 1,000 staffs throughout the world. Okay, so today I'm not going to talk about the company, but we are a very large company. I do a lot of icons throughout the cities all over the world, mainly in China. So this is some of the super high rises I do in China. But today, we're not going to talk about the super high rises. Maybe one. And I do a lot of projects in Taiwan, and Taipei, Taichung, Kaohsiung, all throughout, and high rises. But we're not going to talk about high rises today. And we're not going to talk about Taiwan projects today, but maybe just one. So today I'm going to start with something more personal, and maybe that will give you a clue why I do things the way I do. And my topic today is called InnoCulture, innovation, culture, heritage. And these three words are very important to me. InnoCulture is a word that I invented. It doesn't exist. So innovation, I think looking at Taka's, Yui's projects, wonderful innovation. It's beautiful, very interesting. Lots of circles. Very good. All the circles I've done never gets built, because, so we have to talk about that. I love circles. Culture. Now, the way I'm going to talk about culture is, because most of my projects are in China, Taiwan, Asia. I don't have much culture. So I try to input that into my design. And heritage. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about that either. Heritage, I think very important for all architects, all architecture, that our design, your design, one day becomes heritage. And that's something I think we all work towards. identity. What city is that? Okay, so you all know this city. Well, I did something to this photo, but I hid one building. You don't know where this is, right? Well, you do because you heard this before, but so look at this. You know where this is? What city is that? Sydney. I think I photoshopped that out for the first slide, and nobody knew where it is, right? Nobody. And now when I show this, everybody knows where this is. Now, this tells us something about architecture and how important it is. All these buildings are beautiful buildings, beautiful city, but they're all similar. They're all very simple, very similar. Modern architecture. I think modern architecture destroyed many cities throughout the world. And then one day, there was a building built, an opera house built, a cultural building. And this city came to life. It was a whole other city because this one building put the city onto the face of the world's map. Just one building, and actually put Australia onto the face of the world's map. Because before that was built, I didn't know about Sydney. I didn't even know that it existed. So very important how architecture can make a city. It can make the culture. It can change everything. And we see that throughout the world, right? There's a city in Spain called Bilbao. For many 100 years, nobody knew where Bilbao was. But one building made that change. It all became different. And that's, of course, the Frank Gehry Museum, the Guggenheim. So that changed everything. In China, I travel quite a lot throughout China, everywhere. Projects, in all cities. So one day, I was with some friends, and I guess I had too much to drink because in the morning I woke up, my secretary called me, and she says, "Andy, your plane just took off. You missed your plane. So you must have had too much to drink last night." And she hung up. Right? So she booked me another flight. So and I'm looking at the room. I had no idea where I was. So I opened the blinds in my hotel. It was a hotel. I opened the blinds, and I saw this. I still didn't know where I was, right? So and I knew I wasn't in Paris. So this is a city over 2,000 years of history in China. It's Hangzhou. Everybody knows Hangzhou, but this is Hangzhou. And I'm trying to prove a point is that culture and identity are extremely important to everybody. And so when I look at buildings, when I look at architecture, when I try to design something, other than the technical parts, functional parts, I think about culture. Now, I don't just design culture, but I think about it. Okay, a little bit about my childhood. I was born in the 1960s. We were born in the 1960s. 63. Okay, so this is Taipei back then. Now back then, what I'm trying to say with this photo is that if you took off all the signs, you would not know where it is. It could be anywhere in the world. If you took off the signs, there's no clue. Well, international style, right? Killed many cities all over the world. So, but that's where I'm from. That's me. That's my family, my sister, troublemaker, my brother, my 1 year older, amazing student. Valedictorian in elementary school, valedictorian in junior high school, and valedictorian in high school, and then the first kid to go to Harvard from my school. So he made a lot of trouble for me because I didn't study at all, right? So we're the polar opposites. He's amazing, and today he's still amazing. So as a child, I never studied. When I left Taiwan at the second grade, Yeah, second grade. First grade, when I went to school in Taiwan, went to the best elementary school. In the summer, my dad asked me for my report card. And I made sure my grandfather was there, and my mom, so he wouldn't kill me. So I showed him my report card, and he was going to kill me because I was like the second from the last, right? The second from the last. He just wanted to hit me. And then my grandmother says, no, you don't hit him. He will improve, right? He will improve. A year later, same thing. Show me your report card. And then he's taking off his belt. He's going to slam me, and because I was the worst, right? 倒数第一名. I became the worst. And then of course we immigrated to America, right? That kind of saved me. Immigrated to America. That's 1980s New York, right? How can you tell it's 1980s? Well, it was not after that, right? It was 1980s. 1980s, very important to me because it was the year I graduated from college, and I got a job in a city, in a big city, and that city is amazing. New York City is not like any other city in the world. It's not really America, right? It's its own country almost, because it's got its own culture. So I grew up then, and that year is very important to me because that year I graduated from college. So these are my buddies. I rented a house, had 7 bedrooms, so I got 7 architects, and we shared that house. So today, that house is still the architecture fraternity at Penn State University, where I went to college. So I started the fraternity. But I was never really part of the fraternity. I just rented a house, but it became a tradition that architects in the school would just carry on that house, right? The house is a piece of shit, right? Terrible, but it was cheap. So those were my buddies in high school. Still 1980s. 1980s, very important year for me is 1987. I graduated, and I had a girlfriend. She was Chinese. I never had any friends when I was young in the US that were Chinese. So one day I had a girlfriend that was Chinese. Well, she's my wife now. So that year, I won a big design competition. It was a student design competition sponsored by University of Pennsylvania. So I won first place. So in 1987, the award was $5,000 US. That was a lot of money back then, because you could buy a car, right? But you cannot spend that money buying a car or you had to take that to travel. So my classmates, those guys, they had a big party for me, and they gave me a present. I think it was $299. It was a map of the world, and they had a party, and they're going to help me select where I'm going to go with that money, because you had to use the money to travel to see architecture. And so we're looking, lots of beers. And then my girlfriend came over and said, "What are you doing?" I said, we're going to see where I'm going to go with this money. And she's like, "Beijing," right? She's Beijingese. You met her. Well, you know her. So, and I'm thinking, yeah, I could do that. Now, it's a very strange thing back then, for American, Taiwanese, China was not really on the map. It was, but you don't think about it. You don't go there, right? Nobody goes there. So I went to China. And this is what I saw. Everybody rode bicycles. Everybody wore white, light gray, dark gray, and that's it. All the bicycles are black, and there's huge streets in Beijing, but not many cars, not many private cars. All buses, all right, public transportation, wonderful. Well, as an American Taiwanese, I fell in love with China because I traveled all throughout China. I even went to Tibet, to Lhasa, Sichuan, many very interesting places. And I thought, yeah, one day I would move to this country because it's so different. It's so beautiful. It was nothing like where I came from. I came from wealth. I came from New York. It's like international. It's money. It's a lot of wealth, right? China had nothing. So I thought, well, simple life, wonderful. I want to adapt that. So I moved there. Well, you should see it today. There's like Mercedes Benzes everywhere. It's flourished. It's got more money than anybody in the world. So it changed. It was not the reason I went to China. So I went. And before that, so after college, remember that scholarship I won? And one day I applied to University of Pennsylvania. And I didn't need to apply because the chairman knew me. I won the competition. So I just went, right? You had to apply. I didn't need to apply because, well, you had to apply. I didn't need to apply. So University of Pennsylvania, and one very famous architect, Chinese architect that went to University of Pennsylvania, the first architect, this guy. Who's that? Liang Shichen, right? Liang Shichen. Now, this is Tsinghua University in Beijing, and that's my professor for my PhD. That's also my professor, my father-in-law. Well, he was my father-in-law before I went to Tsinghua. So there's a strong link between the university and these two universities because of this guy, Liang Shichen. He founded the School of Architecture at Tsinghua. So I was getting my PhD. Now I'm American, so I had to pay for all my own education, always, right? College, graduate school, PhD. So yeah, that's me. I was a businessman. At the same time, in school, I pretended to be a good student, but after class, I go and I do my business. And back then there was no cell phones. You stop on the street, you see a phone, and I remember it was 50 cent renminbi, and you can use the phone for 5 minutes. So and that was me back then, businessman by day. In school, I was a student. So now we're many years later, right? This is in Beijing. So I was going to school, but starting to do some projects. And we know Beijing, the traditional Beijingese courtyard houses, all made of bricks, gray bricks, very special, right? Gray bricks. So to me, that's very Beijing, and it had these. It's called hua chuang, these flower windows, many patterns you can let lights through. So one day I got a project. There was a client. He wanted to build 1,000 villas, and I said, "Oh, that's a good project." And so I talked to him about having a project. He says, "Andy, I want it in like French colonial style." I said, "No," right? So I refused the project. I said, "I can't do that French stuff." Then he said, "Okay, I'm gonna live there. I have a house. My house, I want a guest house. I want my own house, and then I want a museum, and you can do whatever you want with it." I said, "Okay, I'll do that." So his house, he wanted a courtyard house. His guest house, also a courtyard house, and then the museum. He said the museum can be very special. You do whatever you want. So what I did is this image. This is one of his paintings that he collected. It's Zheng Daqian. Okay, so for the museum, I took that and kind of developed it, contrast, and slowly became a fluid, inside, and became the museum building, which is on the tip. These two are simple, very direct courtyard houses with gray bricks and flower windows, but it's in a modern way. This is the museum. So, very simple building, very small building. I'm thinking, so what can I do with a brick? And the famous word, I think, by Louis Kahn is like, what does a brick want to be? And so for me, I thought, yeah, freeform, right? Brick, freeform. But brick is very difficult to do freeform, but I wanted to play freeform with the bricks. So, but how to do that? You know, we designed the building, and now we're pushing the bricks, and then these are the flower windows, but it fades, right? It changes. So it becomes solid wall, perforated wall, the interior, the bricks. So I invented, how do you use the bricks? So I invented a new space frame. I'm sorry, not space frame. I invented a new curtain wall. The curtain wall, the red is the curtain wall, something that can hold the brick and have the brick do whatever it wants, because the structure of the curtain wall allowed it to do that. That's the home, that's the guest house, and that's the museum. So that was one of our very early projects. I was so excited, never got built. So I did that when I had a small office. So not so lucky like Takahara and Yui is most of the projects I did as an individual. I had high aspirations, but they never get built. I designed many round buildings and never get built. So one day I joined this company called IDIS. The map I showed you, we're a huge company. So now I'm a major partner in the company, and I do my own thing with my group. So I'm in Beijing. I have a group about 90 staff. Recently just grew a little bit. Economy is very bad in China, but we actually grew a little bit. So with that school, with the company, so this is maybe like 15 years ago. One day, our business development manager, she came to me. She said, "Andy, you want to do university building?" I said, "Oh yeah, I'd love to do university, schools. I want to be like Takaharu. I want to do schools." And but I said, "But I have no experience in doing schools." She says, "It's fine. I got you shortlisted, right?" So we go to the school to meet the principal. So it's like interview, right? And when we get there, and my colleague says, she says, "Andy, before you see the president," and I see the president is coming, walking over to me. I said, "Can we talk about this later?" She said, "No, now." She says, "The president told us that he wants a Guaylo designer. He wants a Lao White. He wants a foreigner. Not you foreigner. Gotta be like blonde hair, Lao White, Westerner, right? Maybe he'll like you, but and I was like, well, but you know, I'm Chinese. I look Chinese." And she says, "No, it's fine. I told them our designer is a Lao White, and he doesn't speak Chinese, right? So I had to pretend I was a white Guoren, don't speak Chinese." So the principal comes over. He says, "Oh, Wen先生," yeah. So he's like talking to me in Chinese, and I was like, I pretended not to understand. And then I had my translator. I got translated. Everything said into English, and I was like, "Oh yes." And then I talked to him in English, and I got another translator to translate to the principal. So anyway, that went on for a long time, many months. I won the competition, and in meeting, kind of like this big meeting, is the principal, vice principal, the mayor, right? And I'm talking like I do all the time. All of a sudden, everything stopped. Everybody's looking at me, and you know, because this has happened many times with the translation. And everyone's looking at me, and I say, "Oh my God, 我在说中文. Oh shit!" Now I was speaking in Chinese, and my Chinese is very good. But for like 8 meetings in the past, they thought I couldn't speak Chinese. So anyway, that's the story of how I got this project and how I built this project. But after that meeting, I never went back to the school again. Okay, it was very embarrassing because I spoke Chinese better than all the audience, right? 我的普通话其实说得很好。今天 for some reason I have to present in English just for the sake of YouTube. So because I didn't understand schools, I worked really hard. I went to the Suzhou Garden many times. So in the Suzhou Garden, they all look kind of like this, beautiful, beautiful, and found many elements. And I saw this stone, loved it, and then I said, well, I saw birds in the crevices. I saw bugs and I saw plants, and I said, oh, that's because I looked in the brief of the design. They want a sustainable building. I said, oh, that's sustainable. It's a microclimate. It's, it's nature already gave this answer. And then I also kind of read about the stone. It's called Taihu Shi, right? Taihu Shi. Taihu Shi is it's a stone that ancient Chinese, they meditate on it, right? It's, they call it Kong Tou Lo Shou Zhou. So it has to do with the pores, the voids, the ugliness, the skinny and fulfilled parts. So it's a very Chinese thing. Like this stone is very Chinese. And I read it's called a scholar stone. I read in a brief. It says we want a building that can represent education, and it's scholar stone, right? Sustainability. So from that stone, we researched and we started to develop a concept of the building from the stone. It was pretty direct. That's the stone. We cut out a block on the stone, and we developed it. We have these voids. This is where the bugs hide, the birds, the green. And we pushed that, and it later became. Oh, and this is a section through the stone. Again, we can see the voids. It's sustainability. And we started to cut and push the functions. So if you slice through the building, it's kind of like it's hollow on the inside, solid on the outside. So very different from a Western building. The functions, I'm not going to talk about the functions, but very important thing to know is that the competition later, I saw all the other seven competitors that competed for this. Well, I won, but I was the one that didn't know anything about education buildings. The other competitors, they were experts on doing education buildings. So because I didn't know how to do an education building, and we struggled, we came up with something a little different. And all the other projects were either 4 buildings or 3 buildings or 2 buildings. I did 1 building. Probably shouldn't have done that, but, and that building encompasses 4 functions that should not be in 1 building. But because of the void, it separated the functions, right? So 1 building, but then you split it with the void. So that was the final building, and I won't talk too much details about this, but it was supposed to be stone, right? But in the end, it was these perforated steel, and that's the principal's office. That's a circular meeting room, and all the functions that you need in an administration building. And that's my first sketch. I was thinking about the Suzhou Garden, but I'm creating a vertical Suzhou Garden. And I made this building fluid on the inside. Education, thinking, creativity, rigid on the outside, because it's school, right? But fluid on the inside. The freedom of mind can create. So that's the concept, and that's a library. That's the skin. You can see it's perforated steel panels, allows light in. And that's the building as it stands today. And I did that 15 years ago. And for the school, it's quite a valuable building. You know, you look at the president's name card now, it's this building. You look at the school logo, it's this building. And I was thinking, oh, why do they like this building so much? Because they have many other buildings in the schools, all designed by great international architects. But this is their favorite. And I'm thinking, why? And then I thought, oh, well, it's not that this building looks beautiful. I mean, it doesn't look beautiful. I think it's because it represents something very important to the school, education. It represents education. So that's as it stands today. And that led me later on to many, many projects, thinking and working in a similar way. Okay, all right, I'm gonna move quick. I only have 5 minutes. So, city of Changsha, Bozhijie. The Bozhijie is the oldest retail street in the city of Changsha. And that's actually all the buildings on the retail that we Photoshop into one image. So it's a commercial building. is a commercial building. And that's Changsha. Very boring new buildings. Right? Very boring. They all look the same, very similar, very simple, no distinct characters. So, and that's all along the coastlines of the river. So my building's here. That retail street is this. It's the oldest retail street. And this is a building that this developer wanted to make very special, have it be kind of the highlight of that entire complex. So I took that building from the function, start carving out spaces. Wanted this building to have green, a lot of gray spaces. And also, we needed views. You know, you got river, you got city. We needed wonderful views that the building can look for. Again, how this developed into the diagram of the final building. And this concept is that I wanted to put, you know, the Changsha Hunan people have very, very spicy taste. They party all night, right? This very, very famous city for young people, very energetic. You know, Mao Zedong was, from here, Hunan. So we wanted to put all that energy into this building. And one day I was looking through the Instagram, I saw this. That's my building. But we didn't go take photos of it yet at the time. So many photographers started posting this building. It became the Wang Hong building in the city of Changsha. And so the building is pretty much just two buildings, two slab buildings joined in the middle. Got a podium, retail, and we created a lot of terraces that can overlook the city. And that one's the Dongzhang Xiwang, right? It's like looking for the views, and a lot of terraces. And this building now stands at the end of this retail street. Always loved this photo, is kind of see the contrast between the old and the new and the future. Taipei. So yeah, one day, this was just about a year ago, I was here, some photographers photographing the building, and I took the photographers and some colleagues to, yeah, I think we were there, right, to have some noodles, lubiantan. So my favorite foods in Taiwan, 永远 always is lubiantan, street food. So we're here, and the owner says, hey, so what are you guys doing here? Because you see a lot of cameramans. I said, oh, we're photographing one of my buildings. He says, oh, you're architect. Hey, look at that building across the street. Love that building. Very so interesting. And I said, oh, yeah, I designed it. So anyway, Nangang. So we had our food. And the Nangang building, the design, very simply, we developed the idea of how to take function and make it more sculptural, make it more meaningful. Stone, pebbles, green, because that was right next to the site. I picked it up from the site. And sometimes I don't invent my own concept. When the building was built, well, it was stone, right? When the building was built, they wanted to start promoting it. And the promoters, the 销售 promoters, came up with this word. 大家知道这个 it's called 乐. So they called it 乐建筑. 乐 is two stones, right? So and also has other meanings, like very happy building. So now this is as it stands in Nangang. We create a lot of sustainable features with the fins and the balconies and the green walls. Green walls allow the building to breathe, to cool it down from the west side. This from the highway, entrance. That's the lobby. So in Taiwan, all the buildings we do is architecture, landscape, and the interiors, which is wonderful. So that's me. When I was a kid, still in Taiwan, remember I didn't study, right? My dad is always very disappointed. So he always says, Andy, they call me Long Long. Andy, 书中自有黄金屋. I always remember that. So one day I had a chance to do a super high rise in the city of Chongqing for a company called Xinhua Bookstore, the largest bookstore in China, huge bookstore, right there, everywhere. So I'm not going to go into functions. Don't have time. So, but we made a lot of vertical circulation, form, and how people come up to the building from the outside. So normally you create a very, very functional building, very high efficiency. So this building, I'm thinking there's so much competition all around, all boxes, all very, very dense and very compact and very functional. So I did the reverse. I started taking out a lot of spaces to make this building with lots of voids, lots of steps, lots of terraces, like the city of Chongqing. It's a city of terraces. So, and this is Chongqing. Its history has a lot of these terrace buildings. And Xinhua Bookstore, Scroll. This is the first books, Scroll. City of Terraces, put that together. So that's our design. And one special feature, we call it the Shuzhong Zhiyou Huangjing Wu. It's from my dad, and I learned that phrase when I was still in Taiwan. I think at the age of 6. Yeah, when I was 倒数第一名. So anyway, now we're realizing this. This is all the plazas on the face of the building. This is the Golden Pavilion, Huangjing Wu, right? In books, there are golden pavilions. It's from my dad. In books, there are golden pavilions, terraces. So 10 years later, 9 years later, this is as the building as today. It will be the tallest tower in the city of Chongqing. And this is taken about a year ago. Now it's almost finished. So this animation was done 10 years ago. It looks pretty much like that, but it has taken 10 years today, and I think it will take 2 more years to finish. So that will be 12 years out of my life, right? So for the girls that want to study architecture, that one building took already 9 years. It will take at least 2 or 3 more years. That's how long it takes to build these buildings. Shu, it's kitsch. So what do you see when you see this image? What do you see? Chinese, right? Arabics looking at this photo will tell you Chinese. Americans looking at this image will tell you it's Chinese. Japanese looking at this image, it's Chinese, right? It's distinctively Chinese and nowhere else. And of course, kitsch is a terrible word. For us designers, in Chinese, we call it 熟文化. It's very low, right? But that's very important to me because as somebody with not too much Chinese culture, well, I'm always trying to grab some soul, some elements that, so all my buildings will look like 我有文化, right? I'm cultured. But very important because I want my building to fit into the society, to its local context, for its people, and not just import. Right? Very important that it's not import, because shu can have many positive meanings. Right? It'd be tongshu, popular culture, xishu, aptitude, and fengshu is custom. It's very local. So all my buildings, make sure that it's local, and rooted in local culture speaks to the public. Okay, and finally, this I'm not supposed to show, so don't take photos because it's the last one. I'll just show it. And don't take photos. Well, it's in the desert, sand dune. Functions that are stacked like a wedding cake. I will not go through this.
The infinite possibilities. Imagine a wormhole. It transcends time.
2 of my
and
sons,
space,
both sons are
and
movie
journeys
directors.
between realities.
So, and they directed this animation and film
It is a
for me.
place where the future could meet the past.
So this building I'm not really going to talk
A
about, but
fantastic
it's a
dream
building
where an
that
oasis
we're
could
pushing
float
forward
in
now
the middle of a
into the
desert.
future. It might take 20 years.
What we
This is a
experience
humongous
one
building.
and only reality, or is it just a speck among endless
Fractals.
fractals?
The endlessly recurring patterns of fractals
If you look closely, I'm actually
provide us
in that
profound
movie.
insight into the
It's my 2
formations
seconds.
of the universe. Now, what if we could create a portal to explore the many realities and to experience marvelous worlds?
Welcome to the portal, where fantasies and
We did 2
realities
schemes
are
for
one.
this project.
Journey with
This is the
us
first one.
around
It's called the Portal.
by imagination.
It's a box with a
Next
void
stop, Cyber
in the middle.
City.
Provide us some insight into the formation of the universe.
So that's the alternative design. So the second option. So we pitched
To illuminate
two ideas.
multiple realities.
So this building, you can take 3 Yaoling Yao 101. You can take 3 of those buildings and fit it into this building. Thank you very much.
So I think everybody's very looking forward for our Q&A session, right? Because we are going to have a fun part later after our questions. First of all, we are going to ask one question each. And so to start, I think maybe I should start first, right? Okay, so this is actually a series of lectures. It's not only one. We actually already have 3 more, actually 2 more before last year. And we have 1 more this year in May. And this is our 4th lectures as a series. So as the consistent topic about how to redefine architecture, or maybe you can say as to reinterpret architecture. We would like to know what would you think about this, or what's your perspective? I think actually
I can't hear well, but what? Could you tell me again?
re-identify.
We did.
And I think you already done a very good job about kindergarten, how you reinterpret architecture. And also for Andy, you talk about culture. So we would like to maybe as a conclusion, maybe you can give us some of the percent about what you think. Maybe Paula, you want to start first.
Okay, I can't conclude because still I am alive. but that is the point. You know, just we became 60, and now I'm really thinking what we can leave behind. But we are doing it different ways. You know, maybe you are trying to leave something iconic. You know, what define the city. I think it's very, very important. But I'm more interested in making a new culture. Okay, you know, we are nothing. Architecture is nothing more than a portal to create new life. So if you look at the architecture, you know, you may see the circle, you know, but the circle itself is not important. What we can create, okay? I think you know, that is all I can say. You know, then we can create, and then we can make new education new society, and the smile of the children. These are kind of things, important for me. But when I was looking at Andy, and I found this that you have never been changed. We did the competition together once. It was a disaster. We didn't pass we didn't pass the first stage. I think we are living in different world, and we are living in just the city called Tokyo. Nothing can be changed, and you are living in Mars. Everything is possible. And then year 2450 or something like this, time of Star Trek. I think I really got desire to be like that, okay? But, I think I have both sides. I think both sides. I really envy what we have been doing, okay? What do you think about what we have been doing,
First of all, the competition that was a disaster was not my fault.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
I think I take it as a compliment.
Well, for that question, for what I do, the reinterpreting architecture, the reinterpretation, I think very important to me. And that's also what bugs me a lot. Many years ago, I wrote a book about reinterpretation. That was my PhD thesis, and made into a book. And what I was trying to do is that I'm always trying to reinterpret culture, not just architecture, the culture, and how we should push forward, how we can make things better, how can we make new icons that can represent that particular city. And that's my way of reinterpreting innovation, culture, heritage. That needs to be in my design. I'm always thinking about those three words, because not just innovation, but of course innovation is iconic, right? You said iconic. Well, you do very iconic, interesting buildings. You may not agree with that word, but I love the word iconic because icon can represent the city. Remember that image I showed with Sydney without the Opera House? So that building influenced me quite a lot because that made the city. So, and of course today I'm trying to do that in different ways. And every project I look at within the same realm of thought, look at new edge of innovation. How we can innovate? How can we create stories for the icon that belongs to that city? So that's my way of interpretation. And we are different. We cannot work together.
Never.
How come I don't get my black little... Hey, come on. Okay. Next time. Got it.
Yeah. We believe that the architecture can change the life of the people. All right. So we when we design the buildings, we think we're going to change the life. When we design kindergarten, we can change the life of the children. So something like that. So we are thinking about, how can I say, from the eyes of the children and the people. And he is looking down from the bus. It's quite, yeah. It's important both ways. Yeah. So it was quite interesting.
Maybe we can talk about the icon, right? Because since you have been talking about, and I think the icon is sometimes quite dangerous. Do you know what happened to Young Woodson after the Opera House?
John Woodson?
Yeah, Youngson.
Yeah.
They call the Youngson.
The city.
Yeah, but not city. What happened to him?
He died.
Yeah.
He was old.
And he lived long after that, but he didn't get any good project. And that's a problem. And wherever I travel, they know I'm the Fuji kindergarten guy. So they think that I'm got a donut shop. So, we have other merchandise, the pretzels and the bars. Even I have a highlights, but saying, oh, you are the donuts guy. So I became a Dunkin' Donuts. So they come, they come to us to get the donuts. I said, no. I think donuts is not good for you. No. I said, I want donuts. And before we do that, so I started doing this other icon, like they said, oh, this is a macaron. So we got to getting macarons. And then before that, we had a snake steel building. I said, oh, you are the snake man. You make a snake guy. So once you start making iconic things, people remember that way. That the people want to buy donuts. It's very hard. It's hard to overcome. Actually, I am a good friend of Peter Cook, and he was pointing it out. Oh, it's going to be very hard to get out from a donut shop. Still, I'm struggling.
I like your donut shops. I know the owner of Dunkin' Donuts in China.
I see.
You want maybe we can do a project with him.
I see that with some sugar on top.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. Well, it's true. Once you create such a powerful image, a wonderful building, then everybody wants that, and I think that's wonderful because people come to you for that kind of architecture. Now, for me, you mentioned dangerous. Because we build icons. Yes and no, because again, going back to the innovation in culture. When we make when I make icons, well, I tried donuts many times. Nobody buys it. Right? They buy the donuts from you.
Our donuts better.
Yeah, better. Yeah. So, but I think key for me is the innovation and the culture, because when you put those two together, every project is different, and then we got to sell the story to the mayor, to our client, to the city, and usually all those projects, there's actually a lot of icons in the cities. I need to sell it to the mayor, because he's the one that says no. They said no to me all the time, right? But thousands and thousands of projects later, you leave some behind that he said yes. And the key is that every project is different, right? With the same thinking in mind, but different culture and different innovation, because we adapt to that locality, which I think is very, very important.
If you keep innovating, you have to keep fighting all the time, okay? You have to create something. And, but sometimes, it's nice to talk about the same thing, okay? It's good business, okay? You can keep selling the same donuts. But my point is that, my sales point is different, okay? And we sell nothing, not the material. Do you know the most important thing about donuts?
It's empty on the inside.
Exactly. It's empty on the middle. Because the emptiness on the middle, the donuts taste best, very good. Those are good. But but you can't taste the most important thing, because whole, you can't eat it.
But I like the Dunkin' Donuts with the Bavarian cream filled in the inside.
Are you
No
used to
hole.
the cream?
I love the cream.
I see. That's a
And you go to
difference.
Dunkin' Donuts, there's many different kinds of donuts, many flavors and many shapes, and the classic shape is donut, right? It's classic shape, but that's only one kind.
I see. And now, so you are the kind making different donuts, even that without hole. And I'm the one to make a classic donuts. The best I can go for the French cruller, still in the middle. Still, we have a hole in the middle. Okay.
I love the hole in the middle too.
Yeah. But still, as long as you are making some kind of, this kind of buns, still you are in a donuts business. How can we get out from donuts business? Okay, whatever shape you make, still you are making architecture. Okay.
Maybe you can try circle.
Okay. you want to make question more?
But I do try to be more like the way you think, because I try to make objects rather than buildings. I don't know if you agree, right? From the stuff
I do.
I try to make meaningful objects.
I know.
I always try to, today I didn't show you any functions, right? I mean, they're all very functional, but I try to make objects, make meaningful objects, and make powerful, meaningful forms that creates, well, you don't like the word, but that creates icons.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like
for the
that.
story.
And you are trying to be a Pharaoh in Egypt. You are trying to leave something for the 4,000 years from now. Okay, I think she wants something. Okay.
Yeah, before we go too deep into iconic topic, we actually need some time to for you guys to ask each other questions, because we know you guys have a very strong philosophy behind your design. And then regardless of what, let's think about the heritage, or we say legacy. We think about architecture as a way of passing some message. And then always I can see very strong message from all of your works. So I'm thinking if we can be along the way of, we talk about reinterpretation as a constant evolving message from the architects. And then do you have any sort of question you can each other thinking about design? Because you guys were classmates, right? You just mentioned. And then there must be some sort of a design discussion you always have a debating on.
We never discussed.
Because he couldn't speak English back then. It's true.
Now perfect
right?
timing. I think now yeah, right now is the best chance. Yeah. Yeah.
But still, we don't discuss.
Or maybe can debate.
All right, say something. You want to ask me a question?
Questions? Okay. Okay. Do you want to make a small building if you get the commission?
Yes, I would pass on the big projects for small buildings anytime. But nobody comes to me for the small buildings. Like you said, it's very dangerous making icons because then people just want that, right? So I tried museums. I tried designing donuts, small ones. Doesn't work. I don't know why. I would trade for small projects with the big billion-dollar design fee projects to make small buildings anytime. But I just don't have that opportunity.
Actually, I know we won so many competitions for the big buildings, but very little number get built. Actually, I haven't done any, building more than 100,000 square meters. No, it's.
So I'm just the opposite.
Opposite.
I have a house in Beijing, and my wife and I have a house in Beijing. When I designed it, I designed at least 8 different options, and she didn't like any of it. Didn't build it. In the end, she designed it. So I have a question for you. How can you work together? How can you work with him? Because my wife would not work with me. The little story. About 20 years ago, I stepped out from a previous international firm, and I created my own little office, a small office, trying to do small projects. And one day I was very busy, and I asked my wife to help. My wife, Wu Hua, right? She's also an architect, right? Also highly educated, right? Good designer. So I brought her into the office. So I was very happy. She would relieve me of some of the work. And then one day I found out that I got fired from my own company. She fired me. It was either her or me. So my question is, how do you work together? I mean, it's a legitimate question. How do you work together?
I think
Because I can work with my wife.
I can work with Ufa quite nicely, so you're gonna be excluded. And we can, and I can work with your wife, and I can work with my wife, and so 3 can work together. That's the answer.
I'll give you her number.
I have it already.
Oh, that's just right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can have her.
Yeah, but I think that that's very important. You are different species. That's the reason why people want you. No, because there are so many architects trying to do something nice, harness something. But you was the only one talking of the stones and the black holes. I think it's very important.
I think Yui, maybe it's a good
Yeah.
time for you to ask a question.
Yeah, maybe somehow, Taka and me has this kind of similar background. The father is an architect, and I grown up in a house which my father designed, and that was a single-story house with balcony. Every room has balcony, and I can running around in that house. I love that house very much. And he's grown up in the house his father designed, and that was a quite kind of similar house in the early modernism house. So I think we can share the view to the architecture. So when we design, when we design, we discuss, and if we two of us don't agree with that design, we don't go for it. So otherwise, we can, how can I say, persuade the people or persuade the society. So.
Do you listen to her?
I obey. I comply all the time.
I'm growing up in the house my wife designed.
And I know how to change diapers. Do you know how to change diapers?
Of course.
Have you
I
done
change
before?
my granddaughter's diaper all the time.
Oh, granddaughter.
Yeah, cleaning up all the shit.
I see.
Yeah.
But how about your sons? Have you done? Did you do
Yes,
that?
of course.
Oh, really?
I'm very good at changing diapers.
And did you cook?
He's
Okay.
changing diapers all the time.
As a matter of fact, I don't have any question for those two guys. Since we're classmates 35 years ago, well, I think I kind of remember that.
Closer. Just closer.
Okay, so 35 years ago, it was a good year for everybody get together and discuss architecture. Not like Taka said, we discuss architecture all the time, and we debate architecture all the time, and we kind of learn from each other. So it was like a good experience, a good year for young kids like us to spend a good years at Penn. I always remember that time and spent good time with Taka and Andy. I knew Andy way back before the school, so we're good friends. So I have nothing to criticize him, but I know a lot of small things about him, which I'm not talking about it now. So if you want me to ask a question about you two, I don't have any question because we were so close. We knew each other very well. So I don't think I have any question for you guys.
I want to ask, how do you balance aesthetics and functionality?
Fact and what?
How do you balance aesthetics
Aesthetics.
and
Function.
functionality? Because you want your building to be iconic and stuff, but what do you prioritize first?
Okay, the question, if you didn't hear it in the back, is how do I balance aesthetics and function?
Yeah.
Well, I think aesthetics and function for buildings that you do and buildings I do, they both go hand in hand, always. So, there's a famous quote, two quotes, right? Form follows function. That's from Mies van der Rohe. And then some other dude said, function follows form. I forget who that is. But anyway, also another architect. I think these two things have to go hand in hand because you're always designing the function, and you work with clients on what they need. For the kindergarten, always working. But the form, it's like in Taka Yui, it's always the big idea, big grand idea, but it has to work with the functions. And then of course that form, their work, you carry it down to every last detail. All follows that same thought of form and function. So I think my answer and my advice is that neither one is more important than the other. Because if you don't have the function, no matter how beautiful the form is, it doesn't work. And clients do not pay for useless forms. Even in my case, I'm sure in your case, clients never pay for useless forms. And I know, in school, that's very hard to balance, right? You get very short time to do a lot of things, and your teacher is always very demanding, and it's like, where's your bathroom? Right? What about the structure? And you didn't meet the program. You don't have like, this cannot accommodate 600 kindergarten students. So without the function, no matter how beautiful what you do it's worthless. So again, form follows function and function follows form, both for me.
Okay, if you want to talk about the relationship between function and aesthetics, and it's exactly, I can say exactly same thing as in this.
We agree.
We agree. Now we can work together. Maybe not. But if you talk about a relationship between the reality and aesthetic, maybe I can give you answer. At the reality, it's very difficult to convince people. Always you have to be talkative. You have to be a good salesman to convince other people. That's the reason why 80s making such a kind of movie, right? With that movie, it's very difficult to convince. And I got my own way to convince, okay? And then we can bring these together, okay? And the aesthetics is not independent thing, okay? And if you are a good architect, all these can be combined, okay? But the difficulty comes when you get into the reality. Some people says, "Oh, this is a function. You can't touch," and we know that it's not a real function. Some people says, "Oh, schoolroom has to be square." That's a function. But we know that it's not function. But still, I can't fight. So that's the kind of struggle you're gonna have. Okay, not within. When you realize you get the problem. But don't give up. And when you get 60, you get to grow, you get to white hair, you understand it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and we probably owe quite much to the client. If client understand our idea, the function and the aesthetics we can get both. But the client, when they don't understand, we just sucked.
Okay.
Yeah, we get fired so many times.
And one last advice for,
Okay.
I think it relates to your question, but indirectly,
Okay.
is all the great architects I know personally, including Takaharu Yui, is always great storytellers,
Okay.
always great presenters, always great sellers, businessmen, always selling his ideas, right? So if you come up with a great design, but you're not a good salesman, sorry, you'll lose the competition. Because, and some of this comes with age also, right? This old man, when he was at school, he couldn't tell stories because of language issues, right? And now he's a great storyteller.
I used to tell stories.
Yeah, we just didn't understand you.
They did.
So for my point is that you get a great idea, like me, I have a great idea. 20 years ago, the same idea, 20 years ago, I couldn't sell it. I never win. 15 years ago, I don't win. And then slowly one day, I was able to sell. So you come up with a good idea, I'm able to sell, right? And with age now.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
With age now, my clients now believe me. Before, they don't believe me, right? As a student, you gotta be a good salesman to sell to your professor, right? Then she'll believe you, and that's the whole key. Because all the great architects are great salesmen, for sure. So if you just know how to draw beautifully, it doesn't work, right?
It doesn't work.
Okay, thank you.
I can teach you how to sell good bananas.
Okay.
Donuts.
Donuts. Okay,
I
donuts.
like donuts.
Hi, if I may ask a question, I think it's an invaluable opportunity today, since we're all talking a lot about our classmates, and we're seeing many generations of alums from Penn, including the moderator. And so, aside from a lot of the hidden jokes, I think it's very interesting, as Dr. Wen and Judge Hassan, you were mentioning talking a lot of times about your student years. And so I think since we're also in the context that is hosted by the university and we're seeing many student projects around here, perhaps I am curious, especially with Penn, also my alma mater, is can you share something that you learned when you were a student and looking back, and how that has applied for you being professors today? And since I think we also have the great opportunity for Yu-san here today, so I don't want to exclude only Penn, so perhaps Yu-san can also join if you recall, when you were a student, and anything that has, from that experience, has shaped you in the way you're teaching or furthering the education of students.
I think the biggest, biggest opportunity I got to Penn is finding Andy Wen, and he has been always a genius. And in the first day, and actually in the first project, I did a very good presentation. I think that's the first professor that I worked with I really admired my work. And the last day, the presentation, the final presentation, no jury liked my project, okay? And then I had to rethink, what's wrong with my project? And I look at Andy, and then he was a good storyteller. And then, at that time, well, I kept saying I have to be a genius, I have to change, always when he was student time, he used to do this. He used to bite pencil. His pencil was looking so awful because of the bite. Yes, it is bite. And I tried to do the same, to be like you.
It's poisonous, biting pencil.
But the poison, good for the brain. It changed my brain. That is how I evolved. So I think that is my biggest opportunity I got at University of Pennsylvania, I think.
Yeah, we had a lot of good times at UPenn when we were in school, 35 years ago. Now, that was a good question. There's 2 times in school I learned something, right? And I'm talking about college, 5-year program at Penn State back then, not UPenn. So my two times I learned something is once when I was in 2nd grade, I was 2nd year, and once when I was in 3rd year. So when I was in college, I always had flying colors, did great. And one day I got a bad grade from a professor. He's an American Chinese. He's psychotic, so he gave me a bad score, and I went to his office and I asked him, why did you give me this terrible grade? And I said, well, I worked very hard. Well, he says, Andy, you do. I know you work very hard, but he says it's not the quantity of time you spent in the studio working. It's the quality of time that you spent working. So meaning that design never has an answer, right? Like, well, his answer is donuts, but most of the time there's no answer. There's no right and wrong. So my professor told me, he said, Andy, it's your thinking that has to translate into the design, not just kind of always biting your pencil right? So, and I got it, because it was that once when I got the worst grade in my life, I said, yeah, you're right. So then I was doing really well again, and then one professor in 3rd year, he's Polish. So this is during a mid-review, not a final, just a mid-review. I remember I didn't sleep for 3 days, and I made a beautiful presentation. And back then we had to draw, right? We can draw very well. We had to draw beautiful presentation, and all my classmates loved it at the presentation, and all the teachers loved it. And my professor, he's Polish, he went up to the drawings. He took off the drawings and ripped it up. I said, "What the hell did you do that for?" He said, "Andy, it was a beautiful drawing. It was a beautiful presentation. And you can fool all your classmates. And you can fool all the professors. But in the end, you're fooling yourself." And I didn't get it at the time. But what he was trying to say is like, beautiful presentations are to fool everyone, to win the competitions. But Andy, the quality of your design, your thinking, is more important. And I don't see that. And it's true, because I didn't really have a good design, and I made a good presentation. So that time I learned something. It's about really the content of design. And then after that, I just went flying colors again. So in school, that influenced me quite a lot. It's the two professors I disliked the most. But I learned something from them. And the ones that liked me, I didn't learn anything, right? Everything I did is great. So.
Maybe I should tell one more thing. And I got good professors. And they, do you remember Mohsen? Mohsen Mostafavi.
Mohsen Mostafavi, yes.
Yeah. And after graduation, I had a chance to meet him so many times. And 30 years after, actually, 30 years after, and he started talking about my student time. And I was touched because he remembered all my projects and what I said. Regardless, that's my awful English, and he remembered what I wrote and what I was, what I was trying to present. So I think still, I think I'm lucky to be professor. I've been doing professor 28 years, and now I feel, and I really want to be like Mohsen. I want to remember the student project, and I think I learned a lot from him to be the teacher. After 30 years, he remembered.
Great professor. I liked him also. I couldn't really understand him because all his readings, you can't understand. He's more like a philosopher of architecture. One more story that I learned a lot was when I was teaching at Ming Chuan University. I have this bad habit. Actually, I was chairman back then. I have this very bad habit that I would go to my classroom, the studios, in the middle of the night. I mean, like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, but it's usually before the students are going to do the presentations. So I would go check on their work, right? I worked very hard as a professor. So one day, my thesis students, I went in, this is 5 a.m., and I saw 3 of my thesis students. 2 was sleeping on the table, right, on the table in the studio. And then 1 girl was still working. And I was like, and she said, "Andy, please don't have me change anything anymore. I'm dying, I'm gonna die. I didn't sleep for 3 days." And so anyway, and then the sun's coming up and the birds are chirping. And she says, well, this is when I was teaching in school, like chairman, 3 years. And she says, "Andy, you work us so hard. I haven't slept for 3 days. I'm gonna die. And but I don't see you designing and building anything. You make us work. I don't see you designing and building anything." And I said, "Okay, you're right." So anyway, that girl won the thesis prize. And the next week I went to the school, to the president. I said, "Oh, we got a new graduate school of architecture. We need some space." And he says, "We don't have any space for you, but there's a courtyard on the top of your building." I don't know if you went there to the architecture school. He said, "Why don't you fill that in?" It was like kind of like illegal structure, but why don't you fill that in, and then it could be your graduate school. So the day after that, I went back to those 3 students. I said, I tell you a secret. Your design, you design. My design, I design, but you make me my drawings. So anyway, my work I shared with them, and then we built some interesting structures in the school. And what I learned is that that girl was totally right, because I cannot just discuss paper architecture with all my students all the time if I don't really build something, right? So we call it paper architecture and real architecture. So that's when I decided that would be the end of my education career, my teaching career. And I left Taiwan. I went back to Beijing. I went to Beijing and started to do this stuff. But that was a really good learning experience for me, because I thought, yes, she's right, because I'm actually better at doing design than I am teaching design. And back then was Beijing Olympics. And I see the bird nest, all these things happening, and I was so anxious because at the time it was like a midlife crisis for me. I had to leave, and that's when I met Hugo. But I had to leave. I had to go and build my buildings like you did and you are doing.
Yeah, maybe after I graduated in Japan, I went to Bartlett School a little bit, but I couldn't spend much time at school because I have a financial problem. So I spent more time at Richard Rogers' office, and that influenced me a lot. And when I saw the mother's house, Richard's mother's house he designed, it was so touching. It influenced me quite most, because when we get into the house is just very simple house, yellow frame house. And when I get into the house, we could feel the green of the garden on both sides. And it was so beautiful. And the mother, Richard's mother was alive at the time. He was so stylish, and he was wearing a green dress, and he was saying that this sculpture is the Johann Miro or something, and it was so, the lifestyle itself is also nice, so it influenced me a lot, most. So I learned that the architecture should speak by itself. We don't need to explain about our architecture. The architecture should speak by itself.
Thank you very much. As much as we would like to continue this conversation, I actually have questions that I haven't asked, but time is up. So
you can continue.
I think you will miss your train.
No. My train is 1:11.
So actually, it's about lunchtime. I know. Actually, I'm thinking if we can have afternoon session, but I think it's about time, and I think everybody wants to take a picture with our speakers, right? And should we just take a picture, a group picture all together? But before that, can we take a picture on the stage? Just moderators and speakers. Please just stand here. We can take one picture and then a picture. 1, 2, 3. All right.
Okay, we have to give a class. Oh, actually, I have a thank you note I have to say. So thank you very much, and also we have a great appreciation again for the support from Guande 慈善文教基金会 and also Mingchuan University Architecture Department.
Thank you for our co-organizer AIA Taipei, Jenny and Alex. Thank you. 全球建筑学人交流协会理事长，谢谢。